Hey guys, Kyle Studer, KyleStuder.com. I recruit and train life insurance agents across the country. We focus in final expense. Got a special guest today. Say hello, Jason.
Hello.
This is Jason Final Expense, owner and operator of Jason Final Expense Insurance Group and Jason Final Expense YouTube channel. So highly encourage you guys to check him out. He's got some good content. What we're talking about today is really the magic. It's really the secret that's not a secret. It's why agents don't make it in this business, because they never learn to execute. And Jason is somebody that I admire from that standpoint, because he's executed at a level that 99.6% of agents probably never do. And I'm going to share with you some stats before I ask you to kind of open up and listen to what Jason has to say. Let me tell you a little bit about what he's done, so then you can listen to him talk about extreme execution. Okay, 19 plus years selling life insurance. That's a good start, because 92% fail out after 2 years. He's been doing it for 19 plus years. Some stats for you: 18 policies written in 5 days, all over the phone. 74 policies in 33 days for $51,546 in annual premium, all over the phone. 328 sales in 6 months. And we were chatting earlier, I think he beat that. So sometime after that, he beat that. So sorry for the long-winded introduction there, but Jason, we're going to talk about extreme execution. I love the topic. You can say it real simple, right? Like, hey man, just get out there and execute. But there's so much more to it. So in your own words, given your experience, when you're locked in like this, man, like, can you tell the viewers, what is execution to you?
Absolutely, Kyle. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate what you're doing. And thank you so much for having me on your channel. But execution is so vital, right? It's easy to say, hard to do. And that's because it requires one thing, and that's discipline. And a lot of folks will say they want something, but lack the actual hustle muscle to work for it. So it's not about talking. It's about actually deploying technique. So with discipline, you've got to be driven to actually do, not think. Because there's a lot of agents, as you're probably aware, that say they want something and then do not show it with their actions that they actually want to attain it or acquire it. So it's like, wow, I really want to own a house. Good. Did you get a job yet? Because that's what it's going to take to get one, right? I really want a car, but I don't want the job. You got to get a job first to stack the Benjamins that didn't go buy the car. If you want success in insurance, I know it sounds very simple, and this business is very simple, but it's not an easy business, right? It takes hard, it's all shrouded in hard work. I've done insurance a long time, and it's a lot of fun. It's the best paying hard work anywhere on the planet, but it is hard work. I mean, I was, even as a very, very young insurance agent, and really didn't know my head from my britches. When I first started, I didn't, self-admittedly, and I had a good mentor, somebody that helped me along the way. But I was $1 million roundtable insurance agent, just starting out, very new. I qualified for MDRT, and goodness, I was making dog poop commissions at like 45%. So it can happen. Success can happen if you want it, but it requires high action and high discipline. It just does.
Yeah. So this is kind of the secret, right? It's not really a secret, but I was listening to Eric Thomas the other day, and he was talking about execution. And we all need to be reminded, we all need to be reminded about this, the simplicity of doing. And he was talking about Michael Jordan, and the number of championships, and the killer instinct, and the focus, and the drive. So with execution, like when you set out, or if a new agent wants to like level up their level of execution, they want to, because what inspired me to talk about this is like, we can train people, we can talk about closing techniques and appointments and all this, but really the big problem for most people is they're just not showing up. Like my last organization, I remember, and I started having success, like, hey, stand up, do some training on appointment setting. At first I was like flattered. I'm like, awesome. I get up there, I was like, I'll tell them everything, man. And then I realized after a few weeks of doing this, man, I was the only one dialing this morning. That's the deal. Like, you guys you're not even trying to execute. So what does that look like, Jason, when you lay out your schedule, or you lay out your time blocks of productivity, or your framework? Some people call it different things. I like to call it time blocking. What does that look like for you?
Well, it all boils down, with execution, it's action. It's action, right? Not retraction. And so many people, they do not understand the difference. There are only two directions that you as an insurance agent will go. You go forward or you go backwards. That's it. There's no park. So when you understand, I either have action or I have retraction, okay? It's the difference between executing your business or being executed, and you're out of this business. Too many agents execute themselves. I know it sounds horrible. It's not PC. It's the dang truth. You get executed and you popped your own self in the dang head. You committed career suicide because you retracted from what you should have done in the first place. And it's like, nobody can train the hustle muscle. Okay. You've got to be driven, but you've got to be driven to not retract. You've got to be driven to just act. You've got to act on what you know, not just know in your head and put your feet up on your desk and have a nice, pretty little cubicle. If you don't get on that phone and book, like what you're talking about, they asked you to come speak about appointments. Does it even matter if you don't dial? No, it doesn't, right? Who cares? It's like, I was one of the top reps, and I have been for a long time, even at a captive agency prior to anything else I did when I was brand new. And I had tons of folks like, oh, wow, man, like, how do you always book 15 to 20 appointments a week and you're done in just a couple hours? How's that even possible? And can I ride with you? And I'm like, buddy, you're at the dang water cooler all day long. It's not like secret squirrel. It looks like hard work. Like, I'm not at the water cooler with you. I'm not hanging out at lunch break for 2 dang hours, sucking coffee, hanging out, having a drink, when I should be not thinking about work and I should be executing. So you've got to be laser focused when it comes to anything you do. If you want it, good, go work for it. And it sounds simple and almost demeaning. So I'm not trying to demean anybody, but it's the truth. You want to deliver a great income for your family? Well, you've got to be driven to actually do the most important things in the right order. Okay. A lot of agents get crap out of order. They focus on closing, right? They focus on all this other stuff, but they don't focus on the A of the ABCs, and that's high action. You've got to be doing. So if you're a face-to-face insurance agent, and Kyle, you do some amazing work over there, and I love your integrity. There's not as many people with a ton of integrity in this space, than you may think, but you're definitely one of them. And I appreciate the work that you do and what you stand for. That's why I agree to be on with you. I love what you're doing and your integrity. That really is a big thing that speaks highly of you. And you and I both know that when you're handling a call or you're handling anything, it all boils down to action, not retraction or thinking about something or over analyzing or, oh, I'm going to focus on closing. Every agent that ever came up to me and says, hey man, can I ride with you? I'm like, absolutely. I'm going to book, 15 appointments. I only want you to book 5, and I'm going to give you 3 days to do it. Can you handle that? Sure. And they would always come with their tail between their legs, like 2.5 days or like 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night. And they know they should have had the 5 appointments. Goes, oh, I'm sorry. I only booked like 1 appointment. I'm like, okay. And here comes the excuse train. Okay. Because you just executed yourself out of the industry. And it's not just fear of failure, it's retraction.
Yeah. So many things come to mind with that. The first one, the overthinking. And tell me if you disagree. Because when I think of that, agents will say like, well, I overanalyze. Like they're an engineer, they're an accountant background, or they overanalyze. They look at it from every angle, and they like are okay with that. The idea, it doesn't sound so bad that they're just, maybe they like to prepare, or really, I think a lot of it stems from fear. And that's not, maybe some of them, I don't think they don't know that. They believe that they just are overthinking, but I believe that a lot of it stems from fear and uncertainty, and it paralyzes them. And what I always like to tell people is like, fear, almost every instance that I've run into it. Now, unless you're standing on the edge of a cliff, like back up, or you're going to have some fear impulses. But most of the time in our business, we're talking about calling old people or knocking on their door, people you would see at Walmart. Once you just move, and that's what the great agency owners are great at, the great motivators, they get agents to move, action, just do. And once you do that, action creates clarity. And that fog and that foggy perception, you have no clarity, you can't see, you're uncertain. The fog will dissipate. Once you take action, you start to see a clearer picture. Jason, do you think that a lot of people who say they're just overthinking things, do you think that it kind of stems from fear and that's what's stopping them?
Well, I think it's a combination. Personally, I do a lot of professional consulting with agents, and a lot of times it boils down to analysis paralysis. Really stems from a place of insecurity traditionally. So when you're not trained appropriately, you don't understand that the punch is not going to kill you. It's just going to sting a little bit, right? It may bruise you. It's not going to take you out. And a lot of insecurities will happen when you haven't been trained to deeper levels. When you've been trained at deeper depths, it's not a big deal. It's like if you've never played football, okay, and then you're like, oh crap, I'm going to get hit. Oh crap, I'm going to get hit. I don't want to get hit. No, don't hit me. And then you take your hit and it's like, ooh, I may kind of like this, right? Hockey was the same way. I played hockey, loved hockey. And it's like, if you've never taken a hit, it's like, oh crap, right? Am I going to end up in the ER room when I get punked? And then it's like after a little bit, you like, yeah, baby, let's take the licks. Let's go both ways. And it's like, now it's like, this is fun. It's a game now. And when you look at insurance with deeper levels of training, not just transacting like most agents will equate it to. A lot of agents will equate closing to just transacting. I'm just transacting. No. It's about technique. Higher levels of training will help you in serving your clientele base in a way that's very simplistic, because when you understand something, it's simple. And when it's simple, you can then translate what the client wants to the right tune that they want to hear from you. And that's where the magic is. It's being able to translate what the client ultimately wants and sing their tune, not sing your tune, which a lot of agents can be victim of when they don't have the depths of training. So then they have the analysis paralysis. And all they're doing is just like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and read books. I'm going to sit here and, scroll through YouTube for 10 hours. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then they become a Frankenstein, and they're pretty much good for nothing at that point, because they're following so many different voices in their heads. And it does not end well. So deeper levels of training for sure. But very important even for your YouTube audience, please vet your trainer. My goodness, there's a lot of folks that want to sell you conferences and sell you junk in this industry. Kyle knows, and it's not anything that's decent. There are sometimes agents that have gotten out of the industry completely. There's agents that don't do insurance, haven't done it for years, and they're trying to market certain things and conferences and all kinds of crazy stuff that really can be in some ways damaging, even when you're learning, for example, Medicare. There's people out there doing Medicare conferences that haven't even AHIP'd. What? And they're going to teach you about AEP? Come on now. Be careful, people. My little word of warning for everybody today.
Yeah, that's good. That's sound advice, man. So I want to kind of go back. We're going to kind of go backwards on this formula here, because what we're talking about is extreme execution. That's being locked in, being absolutely locked in. One of the best things that I've heard, and this is going 2 steps backwards. So we're talking about execution, but to execute, you need discipline. And to be disciplined, you gotta know why, because the discipline takes that commitment. And when you're trying to be disciplined, this question is gonna pop up. And I want to share the story. This guy runs ultra marathons, runs 100-mile races. And he says this question will keep coming up in your mind. He's like, once you start to feel pain, and you relate it to our business, once you get no-showed, you book 15 appointments, you sit with one person, you close no deals. I spoke to an agent yesterday that when he got started, he went on a road trip out of state for 2.5 weeks within an Airbnb with other agents. He was sleeping on the floor for 2.5 weeks. He sold 2 policies for like $1,600 in AP. And he's driving back. He lost money. You know, he was like hemorrhaging money at this point. And this is the beginning of his insurance career. So when you get punched in the face like that, if you don't know why you're doing this, you're going to quit. And this guy says, you're running 100 miles, 20 miles in, 30 miles in, whatever, when your pain threshold, you start to feel pain, your mind wants to get you out of it. And it wants to free you. It's like, and it says, why are we doing this? And this question comes up repeatedly, man. And if you don't know the answer to that question, then you won't be able to stay in the discipline game in order to get to the extreme execution game where we're talking about 74 sales in 33 days. Like, I want you guys to imagine that. Like, I've made a number of sales before. I've never made 74 in 33 days. And I've been locked in before, but I've always done time blocking, 2 days at a time, 15 appointments over the course of 2 days. And it's work, man. So these numbers are really impressive. So Jason, take us through that. Like, before we get into those numbers, I guess, how do you help, or how did you decide on your why, or how do you help agents discover that? How do you, I know this is way off script,
Sure.
but that's like really the first step. Like, you got to know why. Like, you got to have, when the promise is clear, then the process can be endured.
Well, pain is needed. Pain is necessary for you to actually progress. And a lot of folks don't want pain. A lot of agents want all the pleasure without the pain. And there is a price to be paid. There's a price to be paid for failure. There's a price to be paid for profitability and success. Both are painful. Which pain do you want? So if you want to go through a painful process of not being properly trained, you don't want to be properly coached, you don't want to actually be a sponge and learn, then there's a price to be paid for that as well. Go do it on your own, see how that works for you. And I know it sounds not great and sexy, but it's the truth. This is like plain vanilla here. You got to get into an environment where you can embrace pain, but you embrace the right types of pain, not the bad types of pain. Okay. We're not talking about procrastination. We're not talking about low-level technique, Frankenstein garbage that you're putting in your ears. You have to protect your mind. So if you want to proceed, if you want to be profitable, you've got to execute at a different level. So you've got to have a lot, okay, about you that you understand your why. And forgive me, I got a little bit of a cold, so I'm not as eloquent as normal, but you've got to be in a place where you understand here, okay, why you got into this industry. Never forget, first off, your why, and then never forget the why of the people that you're serving, and get really good at serving them. Not about just, I'm here to sell. No, you understand, I'm here to serve. How can I serve this client with greater technique so that I can now have that conversation, to have more conversions, to have more closes? But you've got to execute. When I, was working, okay, just phones exclusively, and I was also running a national insurance agency at that point as well. That's a lot of discipline that takes place. There's some mornings I get up at 4 a.m. Okay. The most important thing is, first off, waking the heck up and having some coffee or some tea. Okay. Start with some caffeine, folks. But when you start off your day, get yourself into the mind of, do not hit the income reduction button or the snooze button. A lot of people will snooze their way through their career. If you're part of any agency, your upline, your manager should not be waking you the beep up. Okay. You should beat that alarm clock into submission daily. So no excuses if you want to execute to the next level. No excuses. Own it. If you had a bad day yesterday, own that too. If you had a good day, own that as well. But everybody in this industry goes from a hero to a zero daily. Okay. It's what are you doing for me lately, Kyle? What are you doing for me lately, XYZ agent? It's not about what we did. Don't have destination syndrome where I reached my destination. I'm good. I'm going to go take a vacation, because then you're going to lose your momentum. You're going to lose everything you've built and you've worked towards. So a lot of times we can all fall victim to this, myself included. Anybody can get to a place where they think they've arrived. The moment you've arrived, you're now going backwards. Only two directions. Okay. Execute or be executed. You're going one way or you're going the other way. It doesn't matter. It's like waves of the sea. Where do you want to go? Okay. Are you swimming? Moment you stop swimming, you're getting sucked the other direction. So you've got to execute. You've got to be disciplined to the next level. You've got to get up and have habitual routines, period. Habitual routines. Nothing gets in the way. Even when I was a face-to-face agent back in the day, and I've got some face-to-face agents as well, but we do a ton of telesales. But let me tell you, as a face-to-face, agent, even when I worked in a big office with a bunch of agents, everybody knew when I stuck my head on that phone, the world's dead to me. I got good buddies that come in the room and want to learn from what I do on the phones because I love the phones. It's what I just adore. But they'll come in and they know when that phone rings, they're dead to me. And it's not that they're dead to me as a friend, but they know that the most important thing for me to do right now is be laser focused on that target. No different than, a sniper. Okay, there's snipers in the U.S. military, and I'm not military, but I'm telling you, there's U.S. snipers that will sit in their own urine, for days to hit their target. They're that committed. And you've got commitment issues of staying on a dang phone for 4 hours in a set without taking your lunch. Cry me a river. I'm just saying. So you got to be committed to the next level where get on your phone if you're supposed to be on your phone. Okay, I'm not going to make anybody do anything. I'm not a micro. I'm there to give people clear directives so that they can hit their targets if they choose to. You've got next level. If they're in their own, not move, not eat, and just go through living hell, to protect our country. And you say you want success in this insurance career and you can't handle a phone without getting told no twice. How bad is this industry really? I mean, big picture stuff.
Yeah, man, that's this is the truth. Like, and Jason mentioned it earlier, like once in a while, this can sound a little demeaning because it's just like straight to the point. But dude, that's the deal. The people, like, I've got some notes here, some things that relate to this topic. And I wrote down, the magic is moving, not thinking. Like, stop thinking and start doing. Make a mess. A concept that was taught to me years ago. He mentioned a sniper a moment ago. The concept I was taught is ready, fire, aim. Isn't it ready, aim, fire? People get stuck in this aiming. And guess what? If you're a new agent and you get stuck in this aiming, you're going to miss anyway. You don't know what you're doing. You got to take action, course correct, talk to your mentor, course correct, talk to your mentor, course correct. It takes a while. It's a learning process. The way you shorten your learning curve is taking more action and getting more course correction quicker. And you can cut down on that time where this is going to be painful for you. Because in the beginning, when we're really not trained and it's not in our subconscious mind yet, the things we say, the responses we have, then you're thinking consciously and your mind feels like it's racing and everything is harder. It takes more energy. It's like, I've heard the comparison to like martial arts. The people who are great at martial arts, they start to use an opponent's momentum against them. So a couple other things I got here, and I'll bounce it back to Jason. Things I was told years ago. This is so simple, but it says so much. And this is really what Jason and I are talking about for 45 minutes here. Do The do. It's 3 words, man. It sounds like I'm talking in incomplete sentences. Do the do. What does that mean? What's the do? I'll ask Jason. Jason, what's the do in our business? What are the income producing activities? Because there's not that many. It's not like they're hard to memorize. It's not a big list. What's the do?
Always be prospecting, period. It doesn't matter. If you're in the telespace, prospecting looks like stay on the phone, grab the 8,000-pound beast of a weight and shove it up in your ear. Okay? Put it up in your ear. If you're a face-to-face insurance agent, grab the 8,000-pound phone, lift it. It won't hurt you. It'll make you stronger, and put it up in your ear, and don't let it go until you're booked. Period. It's about prospecting. Or if you're a face-to-face agent, you need to be banging doors. Your knuckles ain't gonna bleed. Go knock doors until you get in front of people. Always be prospecting. If you're not prospecting, you're not progressing. Okay? If you're not prospecting, you're not progressing. Look at Nike. Just do it. Okay? Wear the hat. Do what you got to do when you're phoning, but you've got to be so laser focused on what you want to be executing, not just what you say you want to be executing. No, you've got to actually mean what you say. Okay. So don't just have empty words. Oh, I want to be a successful insurance agent. That's going to leave you broke. Okay, good. What actions are you going to take to be one? Are you going to train? Are you going to be mentored? I run a telemastery program that I do nationally, and I do it virtually as well for agencies as well as agents. And let me tell you, it's a lot of hours of training so that before you touch leads, you're not spraying bullets, okay, not hitting targets. I want to make sure that every bullet gets placed. So every prospect, you got a high chance of helping the prospect hit their target. Most agents are worried about, I want to hit my target. No, help the prospect hit their target, what they want to accomplish. Now you're in a place of servanthood for the consumer. It's not abrasive at all. It's crazy awesome. And you feel better about yourself in the process, not like some other folks where it's like just push, 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 sell, 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 bring your briefcase and just push the most expensive product, back the casket up to the front door. That's how you need to sell, that kind of thing. And it's like, come on, man, there's better techniques than this, really. So being mentored is going to help the agent force for sure. Mentorship is big. Learn from somebody else's mistakes, learn from their wisdom, so that you don't make those little mistakes where you're not wasting valuable energy. I mean, even if you're doing long range shooting, it's a lot of fun, but yeah, you may be good at hitting squirrels, but do you understand windage? Do you understand elevation? Can someone else help you course correct like you're talking? It doesn't mean you're not good at maybe popping squirrels, but you got to get yourself to the point that you understand drop trajectory. You understand what's going to affect the shot. Okay. Understanding that little things can become big things in this industry. And then once you understand that, you're going to be more successful, but just understanding it is not going to help you explode in this industry. It's knowing it from high-end training, being trained well, almost like rubber bayonets, right? I'd rather get hit with a ton of rubber bayonets than get in the trenches of the insurance space and be like, let's go, buddy. Okay. It's a safer place to learn. Take your licks in a place that you don't get cut, but you feel it. And then now you need to do nothing but deploy in high action, high action, high action. Do not lick the lollipop of mediocrity. Don't retract. Don't retract ever. There is no retreat.
I love the lollipop of mediocrity. I haven't heard that one before. That's good.
A lot of people, they suck for life. Let me tell you, you take a little lick of that and it's like, you're done. You're donezo. And too many agents, it's like, oh, I'm going to go on a little lunch break. I'm going to go on a little lunch break. Oh, I door knocked 3 doors. Okay, one person told me no. Okay, I'm going to go home for the day. Or I'm going to go hang out at the bar and pretend like I worked all day and come home and pretend like I have a career. No, you don't. You know, I've been there, done that. I don't play that way. Let everybody else in your agency go do the soft things. You go do the successful things. And then everybody in the coming years is going to be like, how'd that guy do that? What's going on? How's he so successful? How come he's a top agent? How come he writes more than anybody else on the planet? How is that possible? Well, you were laser focused and you had more execution in what you said you wanted. You actually backed it up with action and momentum, and you weren't distracted. Distractions will kill you.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. One of the notes I have here, the great producers aren't always better. They just execute more. So kind of goes back to what I said earlier about the phone. Sometimes agents will ask questions and they're asking the completely wrong question. You know, they're asking about, like you said, closing techniques or training and stuff, but once you examine the action, once you examine what they are doing, that's the problem. I remember Jim Rohn talking about when in his or whatever organization he was in, he had a guy tracking his numbers and he gives him this little box so a number will fit in there. And he says, how many presentations did you do this week? And the guy says, well, he goes, John, he goes, I just want to know how many appointments you had. I put this little box here so a number could fit in there, not an explanation. And it's so true, man. I mean, I feel like we're beating a dead horse, but I'm telling you guys, this is the ticket. And the way that I've experienced it has been with time blocking and collapsing time frames. And, you know, and you can do it. I've never personally been locked in, day out, 7 days a week. You know, I've always done it in spurts of time. You know, like I come from that philosophy of work 2 days to be off 5 as a producer. And it's basically 2.5 days, half day on the phone, maybe a day on the phone, 2 days in the field. And what's nice about collapsing timeframes like that, man, is because you can, like Jason's describing, you can be locked in for just a period of time. I remember watching something on, I forget the guy's name, Jordan Belfort, maybe. I don't condone everything in his life, but he's got some sales stuff. And he talked about time blocking, you know, going door to door. Hey, from this hour to this hour, I'm doing this and I'm doing nothing else. That's the key. There's no wasted motion for an allotted period of time. So if you need help with this stuff, if you need to craft a plan that works, Jason can help you. If you're interested in working with him, reach out. He can tell you, hey, here's some schedules that can help you thrive. But we can lay out the schedule, but then it's up for you to execute. Everybody can pay money for a workout plan. Then you got to work it out. You got to suffer. You got to do some painful things.
Isn't that every gym?
What's that?
Isn't that like every January your gym is overrun, and then like a week and a half later, where'd everybody go? They gone, right? It's like everybody says they want it, nobody wants to work for it. It's like, you know, the IOUs have never paid my bills, and you got to have the will to want it. Like if you want it, you're good. It's like control time or let time control you. So you either control time or you gave that clock permission to let those little hands on that thing beat you in the face. You let it happen. So take ownership of it. Say, I let time beat me. I didn't control it. You have control over the 24 hours that you have in your day. You do. So you've got no different, set of hours on your shorthand and longhand than I do on my clock and every other agent on the planet. What do you do with that gift of time? So if you can control it through technique, absolutely. So action in and of itself is phenomenal. It's very important to execute, but without higher levels of training, skill set, mindset, you're not going to get to the next level. You won't be able to break the glass ceiling. You'll get your sales, but you won't really elevate yourself without greater technique and training, which comes through mentorship and going through higher end training. No different than any great profession. You want to be a heart surgeon? Good. It's going to take more hours than it is to be general practice. Back to life. Just is what it is.
Sure.
But you get paid a lot more.
That's true. Yeah, earning ability is positively correlated to focus and work ethic. I want to leave with this. One of the best books I've ever read that has helped me get locked in. If you guys haven't read this, it's called The One Thing. And it just can help you flip your mindset. And this is what I think about when I see these numbers that Jason's put up. over the course of his career. Here's the first question that can help you a lot. So this is going to take a complicated industry and boil it down to a few things. And let's say you're a personal producer. You sell life insurance. You sell final expense, $600 a pop. How many pops can you get in a week? The question is, what's the one thing you can do this week such that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? If you fixed your production problem, how many other problems would that fix? How many problems would you really not worry about if you could get that right? If disproportionate results come from one activity, then you must give that one activity disproportionate time. Time blocking your income producing activities, your high ROI, your high level, highest positive consequence behaviors, do those first. The last thing in this book that I want to share with you guys that I recommend you read, this is real simple. Realize that extraordinary results like what we're talking about here, 74 sales in 33 days, 18 sales in 5 days, 328 sales in 6 months, all over the phone. Realize that extraordinary results come by narrowing your focus. You can't spread yourself thin, man. You got to have a plan. You got to calibrate your mind. You've got to focus on, just have a few priorities. What are they? Your family, it's got to be one of them. What are your priorities? Your business, that's 2. Maybe you add 1 more in there, maybe 2 more. Because I don't know. I've tried to do, like mine, Jason, kind of my guiding principles are always been like God, family, business. And trying to say, all right, what does that mean? All right, what's under this umbrella? What's under this? What's under this? And that's helped me a lot, and I've realized it's hard. I mean, it's a struggle to do well at all 3 every week or each day. And like you said, distractions will kill you. I guess that's the last question I'll ask you. Talk about that for a moment, if you could. Just distractions. Maybe when you experience distractions earlier in your career, maybe they don't really pull on you as much as they used to. But what are some things that can help an agent to eliminate distractions or see them coming before they arrive? How can they get their mind better prepared to handle these kinds of things?
Well, distractions always equate to retractions in your industry, period. So in your business, anytime you're hit with a distraction, understand that always, okay, and I mean always equals a retraction, which means you're going backwards, you're losing money. There's only 2 decisions. Is this decision going to make me money or cost me money? Anytime you have a distraction, that's actually taking money out of your bank. So look at it that way. Anytime you've got a distraction, it's not an income producing activity. It in essence is an income reducing activity. So if you look at your business that way, if you look at your time sucks that way, you're gonna go, oh, that just took money out of my business. Uh-oh, is that worth it? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's worth it to take that and do something with it. But is it an income producing activity or an income reducing activity? Everybody wants to eat steak, right? Do you want to eat a steak full of fat? No, you got to trim the fat. So you as an agent, you've got to trim the fat of your life away. When I did all those sales in such a short period of time, I didn't work that whole month. Okay, 30 plus days. I didn't work more than probably around maybe 4 hours, 3-4 hours tops in all of the weekends of that month. All of the weekends. I didn't slave. Okay, but I was very laser focused. I was working 8 in the morning every day, hell or high water. I was prepared for my day. I was ready to play. I was ready to have fun. I was ready to help my clients win. It's a game. I'm here to serve them. Let's go. Have fun in what you do, because when you're trained to the next level, you've got techniques to the next level, and you're not transactional. You're translating every conversation into, how can I help this client? How can I let the client win? Now you're having the winning mindset, and nothing needs to get in the way. unless the home is burning down, I'm not leaving my corporate office. It better be important. Okay. You got to be that laser focused. I eat at my desk every single day. Okay. I don't take lunch breaks. I do not. I'm not suggesting that everybody else has that same drive and discipline, but I'm that disciplined. I got no problems doing that. The only time I get up is when I'm not working. Now, when you're not working, then have good, okay, techniques to help restore your energy, because this industry is very draining if you don't have good mentorship and good models to follow. You got to follow a good model if you want the best, okay, money that you can earn on the other side. Everybody wants to follow the money, but they don't want to follow the model, right? Not everybody, but a lot of people say they want the money, but don't want to follow the model that will help them get it every time. It's a very simple business once they've been mentored and followed the model. But it takes discipline to follow any sort of model. So once you've been disciplined though, and you've got it, you've got to trim the fat in your life. If you're watching Netflix, cut it out. If you're watching TV when you should be working, cut it out. If you got to clip the cable box, okay, throw your Xbox, okay, off to Goodwill. Or even if you lose money, who gives a hoot? Get rid of it. Okay. If you say you want success, good. Go be successful and then go buy, okay, 12 Xboxes when you become successful and reward yourself. But you've got to get rid of the little time sucks that are hitting you when you say you want wealth. You've got to be disciplined. So you've got to be doing what Kyle's speaking to you all here about, where you've got to say, hey, what's your why? Is it your faith, your family, your friends, and then the finances of the business? What's your F, right? That you're working for. You understand your why. Once you understand your why intimately, then all the little distractions of the industry, the distractions of life will be easier for you to trim the fat. And now you're cooking with steak. Now you got something that's got protein that's going to make you strong.
Good stuff, man. Excellent stuff. I think that's about it, buddy. I don't want to take any more of your time, but guys, I encourage you, if you like what Jason's saying, if you're wondering if he's legit or not, there you have it. I mean, there's some stats, and I know that all these stats have been verified. This is real deal stuff. It's not like just pulled out of thin air. Reach out to him. He's got a YouTube channel. I encourage you to subscribe. Jason Final Expense. I just leave it with this last thing, guys. Extreme execution. It's going to require something. It's going to require radical change. We're not bred to be extreme executioners. We're not bred to think like this, most of us. My dad managed a tire shop. My mom stayed home, did some waitressing, worked as a STNA. Pretty normal. Grandma worked at a factory. I didn't know about extreme execution, focusing and collapsing time frames, things that I learned. So then they pay huge dividends. And that's where you get the high quality of life. Like when Jason said earlier, are you doing this when you should be working? A lot of people do this. They're with their family. They feel guilty, like they should be working. They're working. They feel guilty. They think they should be with their family. It's because you don't have a schedule. You don't have time blocks set aside where, hey, babe, I'm doing this. Then I'm doing this. And then now I'm with my family. You got to set the phone down, be with your family. When you're working, you got to pick the phone up and not be with your family. So that'll help with that. You just have to have a clear, concise plan. And then once you develop a plan, it's just a matter of doing the behavior. Just doing the behavior. We are the complicated part in the business. Buy leads, resolve them. Buy leads, resolve the leads. Buy leads, resolve the leads. But we're emotional. We don't have a schedule, And so we'll leave it at that. Extreme execution, that is the not so much secret to success. That's how you're going to get the most out of this career, is learning and take pride in it. Don't take pride in your talents. Take pride in your decisions and be consistent. So, Jason, anything, little nugget, anything else you want to leave us with before we cut it off here?
Follow the play. Follow the models. if you're given a good model, like what Kyle's instructing you on, if you're given a good model, don't think you know more than what someone else has given you a model to accomplish. Don't think you've won games when you've never thrown the pigskin. Okay. Don't think that you know the playbook and you've never run a play, first off. So follow the model, but then you've got to deploy and you've got to actually like execute on it. Like high action, just keep running the ball. You'll get your wins. So when, you know, Kyle's giving you advice or I'm giving advice that this is what you do, A, B, and then C, don't be like calling yourself a cab and getting stuff out of orders because you're going to be out. You got to follow the model, but then you've got to do, or you're going to step in do if you don't. So that's all I'll leave you with, the do.
Hey, Jason, if people want to find you, I think I mentioned earlier, but if someone has, you know, a connection with you, they're interested in working with you, want to talk with you more, how can they find you? What's the best way to get in touch with Jason?
Absolutely. So they can always reach out, jasonfinalexpense.com. They can always feel free to look on my YouTube channel. Lots of content there. Just search Jason Final Expense, but they can always go to my website and I'll personally connect and have a conversation and serve them in any way I can. We do some great work. It's fun.
Very cool. Jason, thank you for your time, buddy. And hopefully this helps somebody. Guys, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. See you next time.